Hey, what's going on? I'm DJ Sixsmith. Welcome to Sit Down. Hubert Point de Jour here with us. The Good Lord Bird coming to Showtime this weekend. Hubert, what's going on?
I'm great, man. Happy to be talking to you.
So really exciting time for you. The show is great. I've seen the first episode. I really like what you have going on, the rest of the cast. What was this experience like? Because, you've had some cool stuff in the theater world and acting, but this feels like it's its own separate category. What stood out the most?
This is most definitely its own category. This is the biggest on-camera project I've done thus far. It was amazing challenge and amazing experience. I got to work with a ton of amazing actors and directors, and the material was so great. I'm still processing it, and then I've watched the whole series, and now I'm processing watching the whole series, and it's a lot, but I'm very happy with it.
What are the biggest things that you're thinking about as you're on the set and then also as you're watching the series?
What am I thinking about while I'm on the set? When I'm on set, I'm just soaking up everything. I'm asking questions. I'm watching everything everyone's doing. There are certain days I wasn't even needed, and I'd go on set just to watch somebody. So on set, I'm just doing my best to just listen and soak up everything. When I'm watching, I guess I have different ways of watching. Um, I can just watch it like it's not me, and I'm just watching the character, and I'm like, oh, there's Bob, and like I'm like laughing at my character Bob. I'm like, oh wow, he's hilarious. And I'm able to disconnect in that way, but then I can also go into a mode where I'm remembering what I did, how many takes there were, the different choices I made, what take they chose. So there's two different modes.
I think it's beneficial that you have both of those. You don't just get stuck in one. And you mentioned the character Bob. What were some of the most important things you wanted to focus on in that portrayal?
Well, with Bob, he there's like he's always conscious of where the exit is, kind of quote unquote, in a way. Like he gets himself into these thorny situations because he's with John Brown, who's the most wanted abolitionist at that time. So it makes for some funny but really uncomfortable situations, perhaps to watch for the viewer, because I'm trying to just stay safe and alive, but I'm with this group that's literally heading straight into battles, and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this, but I am a part of it. So I just wanted to convey with Bob that he's a survivor, and he's trying to stay alive.
I think that's a really good way to put it because the show is funny and then it's also tense. And I think it's really interesting how it strikes that balance. So even for Ethan Hawke, like seeing his character, and John Brown is super intense at one moment and then he can be really funny. So what are you
Right.
thinking about John Brown just as you kind of separate from this whole project here?
Mm. It's a good question. I know there's controversy around him in many ways, and it was really great to be there and work with Ethan, be in scenes with him, and watch his interpretation of John Brown, which is the author James McBride's version of John Brown. So it's not trying to be historically accurate necessarily, but the figure John Brown, he was probably the most important white ally of the Black community. So I'm really grateful for what he did. I mean, he literally put his life on the line to emancipate all enslaved people. So I'm very appreciative. And he was someone who just had extremely strong convictions, and he stood alone in many ways. I mean, there were other white abolitionists, but they weren't all willing to put their lives on the line like he was. So I'm very grateful for that sacrifice that he made.
Definitely a really interesting person and somebody that's really largely been forgotten when we think about history and the abolitionists. And one of the things that you spoke to before is just what it takes to survive, especially for a person at that time. And whether it's your character and Bob or Onion, like just what Black people had to do just to survive. What are some important things for people to be thinking about, especially with everything going on in the country right now? We're having this reckoning with racial injustice. How can the past inform the present and even the future?
Mm. Well, people who were enslaved during this time period, I mean, I think they wanted a lot of the things that just any basic human wanted. I mean, they fell in love, they got jealous, they were happy, they were sad, they had different moments. They were just doing all this under this hugely oppressive system of slavery, and Black folks just want the same thing now. I mean, we just and we're obviously not. We've made tons of progress, obviously, in that regard, and we're not under chattel slavery like we were during this time period. But um, I think a lot of people feel threatened, continue to feel threatened when Black folks just ask for equal rights. I mean, we're just asking for equality, and people have been fighting tooth and nail to not have that since that time period.
These are basic, simple human things, and it's
Yeah.
just fascinating that it's even an issue for anybody. But I really think that portrayals like this will help audiences because whether it's your character or some of the others, they're just fully fleshed out, three-dimensional characters. We haven't always seen this with Black characters on TV. So what does it mean to have this responsibility in this portrayal on TV right now?
To play a character that's three-dimensional,
Mhm.
um, it's great. It's important, like you say. I mean, that seems to get better and better every year in some ways, as far as the amount of Black artists who get to have roles with three dimensions to them, and that's always great to see. But obviously, there's so much more work that needs to be done. But when I do get an opportunity like this one that fell in my lap with Bob, it's amazing, and I just seize the moment, and I seize the opportunity, and try to make the most of it, because I know that there are so many other Black artists who don't have that opportunity to have a role like this on a platform like Showtime.
Another Black artist who sees the moment is Daveed Diggs, and his portrayal of Frederick Douglass is amazing on so many different levels. So, what is most memorable about watching him doing his thing here?
Well, um, well, first of all, uh, I wish we got to have some scenes together. I mean, we didn't, but like what uh what was so fun is that first of all, I was just an admirer of his work just from the theater world, since we both come from that world. He was on a slightly well, what brought him to fame was obviously Hamilton, which I didn't see him on live, but I watched it on Disney Plus, and I was just like in awe. So what was really fun for me was that I got to I told you I would go to set sometimes when I didn't have to be there, and for David, um, the days that there was a day that he was shooting in particular, and it was a really early call, and I had to hop on a van at like 5 a.m. I didn't have to be there, but I was like, I'm going to see David Diggs. Like I'm just gonna go hang out. And everybody on set was like, they would call me by my character's name, so they'd be like, Bob, what's Bob doing on set? Like what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm here to see David, man. I want to hang out with him and just like watch his work up close. So that was really fun. And then to just sit back and watch the fruits of that was really tons of fun. I mean, I can't wait for people to see his work on it.
That's really super cool. Is this something you've done with your other projects in terms of going to set and watching people, or is this one special just given everything going on? Because I think it's an awesome idea.
Yeah, I mean, no, this was different. I mean, when I've had other experiences on camera playing guest stars on some great shows, but that's a different experience. You're on set, maybe for a few days, maybe more. There's not nearly as much time to get to know everybody, especially on a first name basis. I mean, when you're on set, it feels like there's 100 people on set, and I think very often there is about that many people. And So I didn't have that same comfort level, you know, to be like, let me come on set and watch Mariska Hargitay on a day that I'm not needed. They'd be like, who are you, you know?
Right.
But everybody was nice on Law and Order, by the way. But when you're a regular on a show, it's a whole another thing, and that's what I have been looking forward to for some time. And I really got to um, be on a first name basis with everybody. I knew the camera A guy, I knew camera B. I come on set, and I was just happy, man. I always had a smile on my face, and it was a family. It was a real family, and that's one of the big differences from getting bumped up from being a guest artist to a principal artist on a show.
Well, I'm really glad you got this opportunity. You absolutely crushed it. Hubert, really nice to meet you, man. Looking forward to watching you for many years to come, and especially on this one here with the good Lord Bird.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the time.